Welcome to Cyber Conversations, the show where it's okay to agree to disagree. My name's Josh, and today we are going to continue our discussion on Iron Man 3. We are joined with Bob, Heather, and Matthew. And if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe and enjoy the show.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
But,
it does. And it's actually making me think of the question is that maybe why they twisted the Mandarin storyline in terms of he suddenly goes from, being the Mandarin to I'm Trevor Slattery, is that why they maybe, because I mean, in essence, you added some more, you kept some more, you added more depth to the person, for lack of a better term, depth. You added more to that character than you did. Killian just stayed exactly the same the whole movie, whereas you gave the Mandarin even more backstory than him in a way by giving the twist, and then obviously bringing Ben Kingsley in later on in Shang-Chi, to continue on that character. I don't know, Josh, what do you think with Aldrich Killian?
I mean, I enjoy Aldrich Killian as a comic book character is almost a nothing character, but in this movie, he's pretty one-dimensional. It seems like that's all he really cares. He's trying to, because they didn't delve into what Extremis was for. I think we got more of that from Dr. Maya Hansen, and I got the impression she was trying to do it to help people. It was ostensibly to regrow limbs when people lost them. That was part of the storyline why the vice president was helping. It wasn't
because of the granddaughter.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to seize power because he wanted to have power. He wanted to help Aldrich Killian because he wanted to help his granddaughter or daughter.
Daughter, maybe. It was
I don't know.
daughter.
Whoever.
Did you know that was Jenna Ortega?
I didn't know that, but
I think it's interesting too, is because again, this is just my thought on it is the whole Extremis thing is, yeah, it was designed to help heal the body and stuff like that, and obviously it gives people this superpowers ish or whatever.
I think I was more bothered when you saw that Maya had actually turned against a good motivation in her science. I think that bothered me more than Killian, more than the Mandarin stuff.
Well, it didn't seem like
she had altruistic goals that got corrupted, by whatever means over.
But it doesn't seem to me like she was corrupted. She always wanted to use it to help people. She thought that the only way she could do it,
herself, though.
Well, she joined Aldrich Killian in his think tank, but she was always against him using it to hurt people. She didn't even want him to hurt Pepper or Tony. She just needed Tony's help because she had hit a roadblock, and Tony had helped her solve that equation when he was half drunk.
Right.
So she figured he was the one who would.
She compromised her ideals to, for the funding, but
yeah.
And that confrontation, I think, bothered me more than some of the other conflict in the movie, because the other conflict was just that more, like you said, that one note basic, bad guy, good guy, very clear.
Yeah. Aldrich Killian wanted power. She wanted to, finish her project.
Right.
So, and I don't think she ever intended it to be the whole fire power thing, I think, was a side effect. It was never what it was intended for, but that's what Killian wanted it for.
Right.
But she also knew that's what Killian wanted it for, and then still worked with him. That piece of it. That she compromised her.
I'm not defending her. I'm simply saying she was more interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking that with the Extremis thing, and I'm thinking of other movies when it's something like that. It's like, hey, they've got this cocktail that is meant to help people, but it was used for bad for this. And it's like a person like Tony. Again, I'm thinking of the plot component of it. It's like in another movie, it's like they would resynthesize that, give it to Tony to save his heart, he gets the Extremis
It's a trope.
formula correctly, and then it's like that's how he would heal himself. Like other movies have done that type of thing. I thought that was interesting. And then Pepper obviously gets injected with the Extremis, and then
she
get
uses
it out
to help him.
Yeah, but then
she uses it to help Tony save the day, and then they get it out of her.
Yeah.
But then,
it's similar to some of the other past movies, though. I mean, the serum for Steve Rogers, the bad guys want to take it to do nefarious things with it, like things like that. And, let's weaponize the thing. I think that's a theme in a lot of those Marvel movies.
That wasn't the serum in Captain
No,
America,
it wasn't.
But they weren't trying to get it. But it was the Incredible Hulk. They were trying to weaponize that.
Right. But Heather's point is
it is.
There's a concoction over here and it's being used for bad, and all I can say to that is Hail Hydra.
It's a trope, but I mean it's a known trope. If you've ever played the Metal Gear Solid games, the whole character of Otacon mentions it, how the scientists are always used as pawns for the military and for the government, and he finds out that his precious Metal Gear, which was supposed to be a walking tank for peace, was being used by the government to deploy nuclear weapons. And so he had his moment where he cries in the first movie, and he became known for crying in all of the games. But he's still a great character. Anyway,
Abby, what do you think about the Extremis thing?
I like the science behind it. It's reminiscent of the Lizard and Dr. Connors, but I don't know. I don't think that Aldrich was super one-dimensional. I mean, his motivations were flat, but I thought he was a solid villain, even for just a one-off film. I thought he was menacing and powerful, and Tony had definitely met his match, whereas in Iron Man 2, you had Justin Hammer, who's supposed to be Tony's match, air quotes, and he was just this guy that was silly.
He was nonsense,
Yeah.
So, no, I liked it. But again,
but his motivations aren't really, they are one-dimensional. He wants power and he wants Pepper as a trophy. And she even says that, and he nods like, yeah, I want you as a trophy.
I don't even think his motivations were strong enough to justify him becoming a villain. So I that's just me. I had another point. I lost it, but what was I going to say? Oh, coming back to the Extremis thing, I still think that with the body horror type of tech that it is and regrowing, it's not really body horror, but the way they use it and exploding people, I think that comes back to my point at the top of the podcast where I said this could have been Marvel's first rated R movie if they were deciding to be bold, but I don't think that was their goal. It's just, this is how that story was written, as it could have been a very visceral. I mean, he throws handmade grenades at the guys when he's going to the mansion, and I mean, that could have been super bloody if this was rated R.
Well, also the guys exploding when they take too much Extremis, and they can't regulate.
Yep. And I mean, the flashes of the bodies on the walls, that was pretty, I don't know. I thought that was pretty visceral. So.
Yeah, I wish they had gone a little bit more into the background of Extremis, just a little bit, like one more scene.
Yeah,
show me some.
It is kind of glossed over in the beginning.
Yeah, it's just like that little thing in the beginning of the movie. Yeah,
this also had a little bit more Happy Hogan in it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking too. Is you get some character development, for lack of a better term, for
just
him.
A little bit with him. He has absolutely no idea how to use tech. He's like my mother. Flip the screen. I don't know how to flip the screen. I'm not a tech genius like you.
Right.
And of course the whole thing where he does end up helping Tony even in a coma by what he was pointing to. And and he likes Downton Abbey, which I can relate to.
Yeah, that was actually kind of funny. It's his favorite show. Leave it on.
And he seems to like that nurse, but then again, in a couple of months, he's going to be dating Marissa Tomei. So what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Well, on top of that, though, there's plenty of other characters to talk about. I want to talk about Harley because there are some really great interactions between Robert Downey Jr. and Ty Simpkins, who I don't think I've seen him in. I know he's been in a couple of other things, so I don't know much about him as an actor. I've only seen him in this, and of course, he has a cameo in Endgame. But I love the interactions between them.
I think that's my favorite part of this movie, I think, is the interactions between Tony and Harley.
Well, my favorite is the last thing that he says when he's trying to get a ride. He's trying to guilt Tony.
I'm cold.
I know. You know how I know? because we're connected.
Yeah, then he drives away. Yeah, I know. That was pretty
That was
funny.
classic. Although I also loved the kid's line about his dad. My mom went to the bar, and my dad went to pick up scratch offs, and I guess he won because that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was Ty Simpkins. You know, he was in Jurassic World.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he played the young. He was in the Insidious.
I saw that
movies.
movie once, and I didn't like it, so I never watched it again. And I think I've seen clips of Insidious, and it bored me. So
I think in this movie, Harley was the perfect witty commentary match to Tony Stark. And I think that's why I enjoyed those interactions so much. Because as much as you get those flippant and one-liners from Tony Stark, I think Harley was able to dish them back to Tony for a change. And I think I enjoyed that. It just made me chuckle every time they had an interaction. They were just, just that quick back and forth, of and sarcasm and everything.
Yeah, sarcasm meets sarcasm.
Yeah.
I like Harley. I do wish we had seen more of him because he had an impact on Tony other than his silent cameo in Endgame at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have been a more pivotal character for Tony's arc, but that's just me.
I agree. He said one of the most important things too, was I don't mean to gloss over it, but he said one of the most poignant things to Tony ever when he said, "Why don't you just build something?"
Right.
That was the answer. He had the answer to Tony's panic attacks
and how to solve his problem. I do feel like, I know Tony was going to Tennessee anyway. I feel like Harley's a character was a bit of a MacGuffin for the story. He conveniently meets this kid who is a tinkerer in this tiny town in the middle of Tennessee that is not even a real town. I looked it up because I was like, oh, I wonder if that's a real place, but it's not.
Wait, it's not? You mean in New Mexico where Thor went? That's not a real town either? What?
Well, he said Rose Hill, and that sounds like Spring Hill, Tennessee. Anyway, that's besides the point. I do like the character. I thought he was written very well. I originally thought he was in Real Steel, but I was mistaken. But he is in Jurassic World, and that movie, anyone listening, is not good.
No.
And I am with Josh on that one. Never liked that movie. So
you guys are both 100% wrong.
I hate to say
it's a bad movie with nostalgia bait, and it's horrible.
I hate to say it, I have not liked any of the Jurassic Park movies except for the first one. The first one was one of my favorite movies of all time. I hated every single sequel.
Okay, let's not go on that tangent.
But besides that point, no, I really liked the character. I thought he was a good, quippy kid, written well, not too cringy. Sometimes they can write the kid actors to be cringy.
I could definitely understand what you're saying about like what are the odds that he would find another tinkerer. Yeah. But at the same time, the sarcasm makes sense because what kid that age isn't sarcastic 100% of the time?
Sure, yeah.
But do you think
the fact that Tony doesn't talk down to him like a kid,
he treats him like
a makes those interactions like even better. It's like, he treats him like any other person the way Tony Stark does, personality wise. And I think that, that makes Harley kind of rise to that sarcastic response level. And again, I like that interaction so much.
Hypothetical. I was going to ask a hypothetical question, but go ahead, Josh.
Well, just something, we might end up cutting this out, but something that Tony was a little bit harsh. At first, I thought it was unnecessarily harsh when the kid says that thing about his dad not coming back. And Tony's like, yeah, well, dads leave sometimes. No reason to be a pussy about it. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, Tony would have a chip on his shoulder because of his relationship with his father. And, him thinking, yeah, you're better off.
Absolutely.
I thought it was funny and I thought it was appropriate because kids that age are learning bad words. And I think he was trying to relate to him. But
it's not even the bad word part. At first, it just seemed like he was being harsh toward the kid. Like, yeah, your dad left you, big whoop, don't cry over it. But then I thought it made sense for Tony to have a chip on his shoulder about his own
Tony
father.
In particular, it made sense. Like if somebody hasn't been through some sort of controversial relationship with their parent, and then made a comment like that, you'd be pissed off at them.
Yeah, look at The Breakfast Club, where John Bender. I'm sorry, Matthew, you probably haven't seen it.
No, I've seen The Breakfast Club.
Oh, good.
I watched it just last year.
Or John Bender is saying, like, do you get along with your parents? And Emilio Estevez is like, well, if I say I get along with my parents, I'm an idiot, right? And John Bender says, "You're an idiot anyway, but if you say you get along with your parents, you're a liar too."
My hypothetical question that I was gonna ask is, could this movie, Iron Man 3, instead of having the kid, what if they had just done more Rhodey? More interaction with Tony and Rhodey, again, the buddy cop-esque type of thing. Was it maybe a missed opportunity to expand more on that?
I think they had already shown Rhodey did not know how to talk to Tony about the PTSD side of things. He didn't know how to relate. He didn't have any advice for him. So it was unlikely
it
he would
needed
come
to be
up
the
with something.
simplicity of a kid, I think. I think he needed the simple the simple thoughts of from a kid's point of view, like just build something. I don't think Rhodey could have delivered that same kind of advice or wisdom in that moment.
And Tony wouldn't have been receptive to it. So
right. Yeah. Tony, very much.
We even saw at the beginning of the movie
kind of thing. Yeah.
We even saw it at the beginning of the movie because Tony did have a panic attack in front of Rhodey, and all Rhodey could say was like, "This isn't a good look."
Yeah, this isn't a good look. Pull yourself together, kind of thing. And that's not what Tony needed to hear. He needed it broken down on the simple side. And I think with a kid there, I think a combination of, as adults, when there's kids around, we do try to, I don't know, we put forward a particular type of behavior or something, or, we've got it together more than we maybe really do on the inside when we're around kids. We put forward that a little bit more. And at the same time, the simple wisdom of childhood, had a way to reach him in that moment too.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up.
Oh, go ahead, Matthew. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought up Rhodey because we've glossed over his character.
Yes.
I think he's not pivotal in this movie, but he plays a large part, especially when it comes to the final battle. And I find it ironic we said that he was not even in Avengers 1, and then we barely talked about him, and he's in this movie. So I'd like to talk about his character and how they rebranded him as Iron Patriot for a moment. I do like the opening bar scene with Rhodey. I think it shows their dynamic a little bit further. And we already saw a lot of it in Iron Man 2 and how they treat each other. It's not like we needed to go any deeper in this movie. And then his Iron Patriot rebrand, I like that the running joke is that War Machine is cooler, and War Machine is cooler, in my opinion. But I think it's a good narrative, well, I guess we'll call it a plot device, that he was utilized by AIM because AIM has all the government contracts now. And they use Iron Patriot's suit to go against everybody towards the end, right? Am I mistaken?
Well, he's the president.
Yeah.
So it's Iron Man 2 all over again. Of course, it's Justin Hammer upgrading the suit, and then Ivan Vanko takes it over, and then this happens again. You'd think they learned their lesson the first time, but whatever.
But it's a property of the government, not Tony's suit anymore.
True.
But they used it to kidnap the president. They put the president in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I feel like Rhodey plays a decent role in this one. And I feel bad because we always sideline his character in our conversations. So I don't know if anybody else has any comments on War Machine.
I don't know if Patriot. I don't think that we do that intentionally. His character is very straight and like kind of, it's not the actor, because Don Cheadle is a great actor, and it's not that the character isn't important, but there's not as much to say about him. He's not overly funny. He's not overly serious. He plays things very much the same, and he always plays it safe because, he's the military guy. So it's not to diminish him at all. It's just there's less to say about him.
Mm-hmm. I actually think he's a good representative of the good guy in the government. He's he really does have well-meaning purpose in his career, in his life as a character, unlike the vice president, got the underhanded stuff, political side stuff. But Rhodey represents the government at its best, to me. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but
it does. That bar is low, but it does make sense.
It's not Steve Rogers level loyalty, but
sure.
It's kind of that, he believes in doing the right thing kind of stuff. And so, him in the suit is very different than, just this government contractor, taking control of the suit, if that makes a distinction there.
Yeah.
So I like that he gets to be part of the action and gets to help do the right thing in the movie, and you get to see him interact with Iron Man more.
And his new paint job was nice. So
I think we should also mention there were two other actors, and Marvel started doing this because they continued in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. They brought back actors who had like kind of faded into the background more, and they used to be really big. They did it with two people here, William Sadler and Miguel Ferrer, both of whom I remember as, great actors when they were younger. William Sadler was the bad guy in Die Hard 2, Die Harder, and a number of other movies. And Miguel Ferrer, I'll always remember him from RoboCop.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He did other things too. Of course, he was in Star Trek briefly, but I've seen him in a ton of stuff and I've always liked him. But, here, he has a small part. But, and then they continued it with Robert Redford in The Winter Soldier. Oh, shoot. And I forgot Miguel Ferrer was also in Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah.
Can't forget that.
Let's talk about another character in Iron Man 3, Gary.
Yeah. that he's the string that ties it all together.
Yeah.
He could have been the new Agent Coulson type of character.
No.
Gary, this one's for you.
Exactly.
You are only rivaled by the other major Gary, the snail.
Oh gosh. I thought it was a funny scene with Gary, and it makes sense. I think it added a level of realism that these larger than life heroes would have borderline stalker idols.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially Tony Stark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of all of them, he's the one who would would be most likely to have
that celebrity like status. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary was
Adam Pally. Adam Pally played him, and he's in Sonic the Hedgehog. Apparently, I don't know him from anything. I never saw that movie, but
well, here's where I get to be like, Josh, you gotta watch that movie. But it's not like a must see. So
yeah. Well, he was also in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3. Apparently, I didn't know there were 3.
The third one, I've never seen it, but apparently that's the best one. We could pause this and take that out about Sonic. But
he was in The Mandalorian.
Interesting.
He was a bike scout.
But it was a funny scene. I don't have much to say about it. And I think
it was a funny scene. The whole, faked his death, part of the story was interesting of watching a celebrity trying to not be a celebrity, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is something that it was a funny scene, and it makes sense too, because someone like Tony Stark would definitely have someone like that,
Well, I think
I don't know if you can tell, but I patterned my whole look after you.
Yeah. He's like, I don't
want to make this weird or anything, but
I don't have any product. I don't have any product in my hair right now, but
it shows that tattoo.
I think that, again, thinking about it and listening to you guys talk about it, I think it's interesting in Iron Man 3, kind of overall, everybody he runs into has an impact on, again, we come back to the character development of Tony Stark's character. Even these little scenes in the comic relief of like Gary, it still has kind of a, Tony's always left with something, for lack of a better term. It's like something to be learned or something to realize, or even if it's barely noticeable, again, when you think back on it, it's like, because, the Iron Man 3 is a Tony Stark movie more than it's an Iron Man movie, in the sense that Tony's running around doing everything pretty much as Tony. And the Iron Man is sort of secondary, because every time he puts on a suit, it falls off type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that, all the interactions he has with all the different characters, and having to figure things out on himself, and not being able to totally rely on his technology and having to rely on himself, I think all those characters impact that, which brings us to, as we get near the end, obviously at the end, Tony destroys
the suits.
He destroys the suits. He has the shrapnel removed so he could take the device out. What's that seems to be kind of the ultimate. It leads up to the whole, like, Tony more relying on himself.
Yeah, I
am Iron Man statement ends up taking on a whole thing. It's like Iron Man it's within him.
Yes.
There's kind of an arc there that ends with him.
I did find it cool seeing all the variety of the tech things that he tried out with all those different machines that he called to that big final battle.
Oh yeah,
That was a cool thing. It's like, geez, how long was he down in that basement coming up with all these different ideas, and then
Well, the newest one was the Mark.
What ideas might he, save and bring forward if needed. I think that was going through my head in that moment, like, oh, that was kind of cool. Like, why didn't, is he going to have that in his next, regular suit, or, so I think it was just kind of cool to see how broad his imagination went with the different possibilities of the Iron Man suit.
Yeah. The only
thing, coming back to Iron Man was what was inside him. You know what I mean? Like that, I think especially it just brought that comparison to a point, all these different wild ideas, intellectual ideas and invention and everything else. But the real Iron Man was in him. So
yeah, but because the first suit that they show in this movie, the one that he's working on at the beginning, is the Mark 42. So he's had 42. The only thing that I didn't like, I mean, not I wouldn't go so far as to say I didn't like it, but it was weird to me, was how quickly he got out of those suits, the earlier ones, because they made a big point of showing through the Avengers movie that it's a big deal getting into and out of the suits. He needed Jarvis's help to put them on. But now in this movie, all of his suits appear to open up so you can jump into them real quick. And then they all fall apart real easily.
Avengers, they show him just kind of walking on the path when he, and the suit's like disassembling as he just walks normally. So I think...
Well, it was always Jarvis, with the mechanical arms pulling the pieces off of him. And in the first movie, he was like strung up trying to get the suit off.
Well, yeah, but I think that's just the evolution of the tech. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but this movie, it showed him in like going from suit to suit, which implies that a lot of these suits were made so that he could put them, get into and out of them very quickly.
Right, because at the beginning of the first
lessons learned in Avengers, he
but
needs to be
in the
able to
beginning
get
of the movie,
quickly.
He injects himself with those, whatever they are, his little technology to quickly, because in the end of Avengers, when he gets into that suit, he had the bracelets. This time he's implanting it under his skin, so that allows him to get in and out. I don't think that was necessarily, like weird. It was just, again, an evolution of his technology, because finally, when we get to Endgame, he's in full nanotechnology.
Yeah.
Or Infinity War.
I think it did suspend reality a bit more, make him more of a fantastical kind of character. The fact that, he can just like, lift his hand up and automatically a piece of armor comes flying to it. Okay, this is obviously a little more gearing towards supernatural now than just science. From that realistic side of stuff, it suspends that reality more.
It really, whenever he was like holding his hands out, it really gave me Power Ranger vibes, because he's like, Mark 42, I don't know. That was just, but Matthew, what do you think, Matt?
I like the final fight scene. I feel like we glossed over the two big set pieces of this movie, which were the mansion being destroyed. I thought that was a great scene, and the soundtrack's awesome in that scene. And then the final fight, I like it a lot. I like when he's summoning the suits of armor, and it shows his true separation from the suits and himself, and he doesn't need to be in the suits anymore to control them.
And he had all the nicknames for him too.
Right.
Like he was calling them by their names.
And Jarvis was ultimately piloting most of those.
Right.
But I thought it was a good way to show him up against an army, and he doesn't need to be in the suits anymore fully. So, and then at the very end, when he blows them all up, we know that he really doesn't, because he has a couple models going forward.
Well, he has the whole Iron Legion by the time Age of Ultron comes up, but that is actually a kind of, where this whole thing led to. It makes sense that he would make a bunch of suits that were not supposed to be manned. Yeah. That would just be controlled, computer controlled for crowd control. And
he probably got that idea from Justin Hammer and Whiplash and Iron Man 2, where they had the drones. And he's like, well, I need to make a or an army of suits for myself. So I thought it was good. And I don't know that I agree with the whole blowing up the suits thing. I get what the point was trying to be made there, but it's like, I don't know, nobody else just lays down their outfit. Like Thor's not getting rid of his hammer in any of his movies. So I don't know. I found it a little bit odd, other than the fact that it meant to really hammer home the point that he's Iron Man. Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say is I think that the whole point of that was to hammer home the whole concept that Tony Stark is, he finally
it's the man himself.
So I think that's
why it ends. That's why it ends like Yeah, that's why the last line of the movie, well, not including the post-credit scene, the last line of the movie is, "I am Iron Man."
Right.
Yeah.
But it has a different
And it
meaning.
might have been, at the time
Right.
at least, I
Right.
thought it might be the end of the character, like he was retired now. He no longer had the chest arc reactor, which powered the suits previously. So, I even thought maybe he wasn't going to be able to be Iron Man anymore because he wouldn't have that power. But of course, he did. So it might have made sense if they had made him retire. But it would have been anticlimactic because we needed to see more Iron Man.
Well,
Yeah, he
and nobody
just
ever
reached this culmination. They can't just drop it at that point. No,
I agree. Well, no, I mean, like, they might have been able to. It wouldn't have been well received, but they could have gotten away with it if they had wanted to.
Yeah.
Say his story's over. Yeah, it would have been a really bad move.
It would have, yeah, but.
Well, and nobody ever retires from the MCU. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no one ever dies.
No, yeah, they can kill off somebody. Well, they can multiverse them back now that we've got that going on. It's like, just run to another Earth and grab another.
Yeah.
Well, Agent Coulson wasn't even a multiverse. He
wasn't. We didn't have that.
He went to Tahiti. He went to Tahiti. It's a magical place.
It is. It's magical. It's a magical universe. So, Iron Man 3, what do you think? Aged better, worse?
I like this movie, and I think most of us on the podcast like this movie. I think it's got its flaws, as do a lot of the other MCU movies. I think I see your question here in the notes. It says, is this Marvel's most honest character piece? I think this might be their only true character study outside of maybe Thor 3 and 4. That's like really hones in on the character itself without superpowers or anything like that. But I like it. I think this is the fourth best Phase 2 movie, putting obviously Avengers, Ultron, Guardians 1 and Winter Soldier above it. So, but I thought it was a good kickoff for Phase 2, and I think it's aged well, and I really enjoy it.
Josh?
Heather?
Heather?
I enjoyed it. I think after our discussion, there's more I like about it that I didn't realize. So, yay for discussing things. But it's still just one of the passing stories in the Marvel universe, but as a story, it's a good one. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's when you have a TV show, you've got there's a story arc, but then they have those episodes that don't really do anything with the story arc.
Right, but they're just really good episodes.
Yeah, it's just a really good episode for whatever reason. And I guess this
was a really good episode.
This is a good episode.
Yes.
Next week on a special episode of Family Ties.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess that, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm just going to jump in here and get my opinion, is as I mentioned at the beginning, rewatching it. Yeah, I really didn't like this movie when it first came out. It's still not my favorite. But it on the rewatch, it is better than I remember it being. I still have trouble reconciling, again, just because I can't help but seeing it as a Lethal Weapon movie. And I think that it doesn't, if you remove the Iron Man element of it, it would still be the same type of movie in essence without the Iron Man 3 or without the Iron Man component to it. I mean, if it wasn't an MCU movie, it would still be what it was. But it is better on the rewatch. And as Heather said, is listening to you guys kind of talk about it, and just my own realizations is, at least from the character study component of the movie, I think that there's a lot of things I didn't really realize until we've been discussing it, that it really did move the Tony Stark character quite a bit. And his kind of I think this was more of self, we talked about with Iron Man 1, how it's like the humbling of Tony Stark, but he's still kind of arrogant. And then Iron Man 2, he learns more about, why he was raised the way he was, type of thing. And like more about his dad, and that his dad actually did care more than he, remembered. But in this one, it's like he realizes more about himself, and it's more of a down to earth thing. I was reading up on it, on how, Shane Black, was saying, like, he didn't want to deal with outer space. He didn't want to deal with anything. He wanted to make this like as grounded, no magic really, or anything. It was just purely technology and purely about a character, really about the character and that type of thing. So I guess my thing is yeah, it's better than I thought it was, but it's still not my not my favorite. I think it could have been, any other type of movie.
I love this movie. Like I said, it's my favorite Iron Man movie. It's still not my favorite Marvel movie. Iron Man is never going to be my favorite character, so it kind of makes sense. I agree. I understand exactly what you're saying, Bob, although I never saw it as a Lethal Weapon lookalike. I think it only bears a passing resemblance. You're right, as a Lethal Weapon type movie, as a buddy cop movie, Lethal Weapon is better. But then again, Lethal Weapon is one of the greatest movies of all time. So I think it's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it,
is awesome.
If you haven't seen it, Matthew, you got to watch that, because that is,
like you said, just 1 and 2. Just 1 and 2.
Yeah, just 1 and 2. 3 and 4 should not have been made. We're not going there. Yeah, but no, I really enjoyed this movie, and I this is like when I'm rewatching the MCU, which happens like once every year, maybe just slightly less than once a year. This is always a movie I'm looking forward to. I don't skip any of them, but there are movies that I look forward to, and there's movies that I'm ambivalent about, such as the movie we're going to talk about next week, which is my least favorite of the initial 3 stages, even though I still want to reiterate, I still enjoy it a lot. It's not a movie I hate. It's just a movie that I don't enjoy as much as everything else. But that is Thor: The Dark World, which we will be talking about next week. I think that we will have a lot to say about that movie, because I think a lot needs to be said. So on that note, I want to thank everyone for joining me on this discussion. I want to thank the listeners, both of you. I'm joking. I'm sorry. I do want to thank everyone who listens to us, though. And if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Try subscribing for once. That would be great. And as always, make tomorrow better than yesterday.